Canadian psychologist once said that the West has lost faith in masculinity. Society has made it difficult or controversial to define masculinity. Men are confused about what it means to be masculine, and they're constantly receiving mixed messages. There are extreme ideas like men going their own way, MGTOW, right? Or toxic masculinity, but I don't think that they're the answer. Anything in excess is bad for you. Even something healthy and normal like a banana. One banana is totally fine, but you take 100 of them and you multiply its radioactive properties. The goal isn't to talk about the broader socio-political implications. First, we'll discuss why we should even talk about masculinity. Second, what is this trend of reject modernity and embrace masculinity? Who was Zyzz and why is he such an inspiration for young men? And finally, we'll go over some key takeaways from all of this. Why talk about masculinity? Many men feel underappreciated and not recognized for their contributions in society. Compared to women, men almost everywhere are more exposed to alcoholism, drug addiction, serious accidents, and cardiovascular disease. Men have significantly lower life expectancies. More people in prison are men. More people who are homeless are men. More people who do worse in schools are men. Most victims of violent crimes are men. Most people who died in wars are men. Most people who commit suicide are men, and in more violent ways. But society tends to focus on this narrow substrata of hyper-successful individuals and generalize that to most men. Men are penalized for talking about their problems. There's toxic masculinity where you're just told to man up and never discuss how you're feeling. And there's the other extreme in which some women tell men that they have nothing to complain about. Many men admit to feeling like they've been reduced to just a paycheck and that they're not even that anymore. Economic recessions almost always hit men harder because manufacturing and construction are more cyclical than service industries. There are plenty of men who don't make enough money to be desirable for marriage anymore. Men have little access to social support, and the groups that do exist in the United States have a tendency to be anti-women and angry. Again, I think that's extreme and not the answer. Men are constantly being sent the message that they're not needed for marriage and in families, which is the equivalent of telling them that they're not needed in society. Some men respond with hatred and bitterness. But again, that's not the answer. Moderation is a step closer. And then comes this trend. You see muscular men, huge guys, bulky guys, deadlifting, running. You see great thinkers, you see scientists, and you see this shredded young tan guy flexing and dancing to EDM or hardstyle music. Many videos have surfaced with hundreds of thousands of searches for reject modernity, embrace masculinity. What this really is a reaction to the negativity, the toxicity, and the pressure directed towards men. It's an attempt to reclaim masculinity as something to be proud of, and not as something negative or something to be ashamed of. But why does it always feature this young, shredded guy? Why do some people think that he's an inspiration? That man is none other than Aziz Shavershian, who is an ethnic Kurd born in Russia who later migrated to Australia, also popularly known as Zyzz. It seems like many were able to relate to his life. He grew up very skinny and he was bullied for that, and he felt like he couldn't stand up to people because he was so frail. So he focused his angst and his anger in the gym and worked on getting shredded. And unlike previous bodybuilders who focused largely on size alone, he also focused on aesthetic. He was known for being an extreme troll, for being very silly, and for often rejecting women online. He had iconic phrases like, "You Myron," which is the equivalent of "you admiring my body," and "we're all gonna make it," or anything with "breh" in it. He encouraged people to pursue their goals and not to dwell in their sadness. Zyzz transformed from insecure skinny guy to a bulky, callous, and confident guy who encouraged people to transform their lives. Even though he died about 10 years ago in 2011 at the young age of 22, his legacy still lives on, and it seems like it's only getting revived, as some people are just now finding out about him. Some people don't even realize that he's already dead, and the year that he died, there were more people who searched for him than for the Prime Minister of Australia at the time of his death. Bodybuilding for a very long time has been a positive and effective way for men to build their confidence and to manage their problems. It isn't just about becoming stronger. It's not as superficial as that. It's about self-growth and persistence. Determination, it's about seeing your progress and constantly checking it in the mirror. It's about before and after photos, transformations. In Australia, a Beyond Blue study found a few effective coping strategies for men. Their research found that there were 5 things that the men studied did to keep themselves feeling okay. And those were eating healthy, number 2, keeping busy, number 3, exercise, number 4, using humor to lighten the situation, to reframe their thoughts and feelings, and number 5, doing something to help someone else. Things that come to mind include jogging, reading, playing a sport, or gaming, going out for an activity like 8-ball pool, or bowling, or go-karting. So there are positive ways for men to cope. Of course, when you do some of these things, you'll get criticized. Like if you game to manage your stress, some people criticize you for being too old, or that you have no life. In reality, if we're doing something that is benefiting our confidence and our self-esteem, is for our self-growth, then who's to stop us from doing it? Zyzz served as a reminder that we shouldn't take ourselves too seriously, and something as simple as we're all going to make it, everybody has a little Zyzz in them, is what a young man needs to hear sometimes. My final message is that a society in which men hate women, or women hate men, for example, would tear the fabric of life apart. Bitterness and rage can't be sustained without consequences. You see many MGTOW videos out there in which men are just tired of women altogether and they don't want to invest any more effort. This generation of men should strive for moderation rather than to focus on the extremes. Remembering traditional values such as intelligence, achievement, strength, mental, emotional, and physical, and leadership is what this trend is all about. So there's no shame in celebrating masculinity. There's no shame in being masculine or embodying those values. And hopefully young men will wake up and realize that hating women isn't the answer. I hope you guys enjoyed today's video, and if you did, be sure to leave a like and be sure to subscribe because I do post weekly videos on self-help and improvement. Stick around for more content. Thanks so much. See you guys on the next one.